and 2020 is like, let's get it year. So I'm good. I'm feeling good. I actually experienced the opposite of travel as a kid. I lived in the same house my entire life. We never moved when I was a little kid. And so I saw the same thing every day for 18 years. And because of that, I knew I wanted to travel. Ever since I was little, I knew I wanted to. And then a little bit of being like first generation American, because my parents came from Polynesia and Micronesia, they weren't really looking to leave, like to travel themselves or to take us to travel, because they're like, no, we worked so hard to get here. We're going to help you guys like thrive in this community, in this country. And so I was extra motivated to travel because I knew my parents didn't have the funds and weren't really looking to travel as a family. And so I've always wanted to go all the places. So I think the way I choose where to go, my first step is to figure out if I know anyone who is from a foreign country I want to visit, or I have any family who's from that place, and then we work it out. I went on a study abroad 2 summers ago by myself, and I've been married for 3 years. And so I was like, look, husband, I'm feeling called, and I will find a way to fund it. It will not I will not have use any of our money to do it. I'll find a way, because I know I'm supposed to go on the study abroad. So I ended up going. Oh, bless up. But I did a tour of Asia, starting in Beijing and going all the way down to Australia. And I think the most interesting experience I had coming away from that was the feeling that I felt at home in every single country, in every single city that I visited. And that was really unexpected to me, because obviously, I live here in Provo. This is my home because I pay rent here. So yes, it's the home. But it was beautiful to me to realize that I felt at home in Beijing. I felt at home in Hong Kong. I felt at home in Thailand. And it's because I was learning the most about myself. At one point on our trip, we were in Bangkok, and we went to go see some elephants and red elephants. And when we so they put us up on these elephants. I was with my friend Natalie, and as I was riding this elephant, I got to sit on its neck and just kind of hug it. And I remember feeling look at God. Look at God. Who thinks, you know what, I'm gonna make this animal, and somehow, some way, that animal's gonna make someone happy. It was so beautiful to me. And we swam in the rivers with the elephants, and it was just one of those things where I didn't feel small. I didn't feel like this teeny tiny part of this massive plan. I felt like all of this stuff around me was for me to enjoy, and I just had to enjoy it. Decide to.
You've been married for 3 years,
mm-hmm.
and it was 2 years ago,
mm-hmm.
some sort, that you did this trip. I think so much of it is people put their responsibility and happiness on their spouses, and you didn't leave that up to him. You kind of were just I need to do this, and you did it. So can you walk us through that process of making that decision?
Yeah, for sure. So I have a pretty strong personality, so I think it's important to make that disclaimer, because the day that I felt called to the study abroad, because probably for the year of 2017, I'd been feeling I needed to address some things I'd been going through, and I needed to not escape from those things, but step out of them so that I could see them more clearly. And so by the time the opportunity for the study abroad came around, I was already feeling I needed to step out of my reality and observe it instead of be consumed by it, and be in the middle of it and looking around oh, a mess, I felt the need to step outside of that mess just so I could take inventory of it, and then understand okay, what are we gonna do first, Losa? Let's pick one thing and do it. And I served a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and it was such a relief to be on a mission, because on a mission, you, at least back in the day, you couldn't talk to your family more than 2 times a year. And that was, I love my family, but that was such relief for me to be on my own, to be doing things that I really truly believed in. And so at this time in 2018, I felt like I needed something similar to that. And my husband and I, we're very open with each other. It's taken time, but we're open with each other, and we tell each other what we're thinking. And we've actually been together for the most part off and on since we were 16 years old, which is another
How come I was like,
specific.
oh shoot, she's gonna be off and on for 3 years? I was like, girl.
No. But we've been like dating. We've been dating since we were 16. Which is a long time. I'll tell you how old I am if you really want to know. But so I feel like we had a relationship where he knew that I was a very strong personality, and he understood that if I need to do something, I need to do it. And if I don't do it, it's going to be a problem for everyone who interacts with me. And so when I told him about this study abroad, I sat him down and I told him, I definitely started with like, look, I love you. And I love you enough to take care of myself so that I show up for you. And that is what this study abroad is. And he was initially so against it. He was like, this study abroad costs thousands of dollars. How are you going to pay for this? Like, why are you trying to leave me for 6 weeks? Like, what did I do? And so it took a few weeks for us to work through those things and to process them together. And I never wavered though. I was never like, oh, I'm so sorry, I won't go. Kind of what you said earlier about how sometimes people place 100% of themselves in their spouse. I never wavered, because I knew that if I was going to show up for him, show up for our future family, I needed to go. I would come back, obviously, like dramatic, but I needed to go. I needed to leave. And so I wouldn't stay in New Zealand, you guys. Maybe I would, but I would come back eventually. Okay. But I think for him, he was still a little bit unsettled, but because it was thousands of dollars, for the next like 2 months after we had talked to everything, I applied to every scholarship I found. I wrote every kind of essay I needed to. And I think him observing my dedication to raising all this money and to not use any of our money to do it, that dedication showed him that I was serious about going, and I was gonna go. And so then I left, and then I came back, and it was great. And I think for me, I am a very cognizant traveler. I'm not super, super loud when I'm traveling. I don't try to draw a ton of attention to myself. I think that's a bit foolish and very American to do that, of which I will not take part. I'm not that kind of American. But I haven't come across anything like that. I always make sure to have, like I said, my passport on me, my identification. When we were in Vietnam, my director actually required us to keep our identification on us. There's a bit of like military occupation to an extent still. And so we definitely had our identification on us so that we could say like, we're American, we're safe, we're not doing anything. And I always have a power bank with me, because my phone never dies when I travel. It never dies. It never even gets below like 50%, because I'm so paranoid about that. And yeah, I think that's it. I like to think I'm quite prepared to be in interesting situations. So
Gosh, I would fail. Like I always, my battery be always living on the E. Like it's like, would you like to go on like 10% mode? I'm like, shoot. Oh gosh. I mean, you bring up some good things. I never even thought of like how to prepare for unforeseen events. Mm-hmm. And like there are some things that you have control about, and doing all those things, taking all those precautions are definitely some things you can do to help yourself as you're traveling over.
I'm just going to add one more thing. Okay, hold on. This is the bag. This is the backpack I always travel with. It's kind of small, but it fits a lot. Okay, I got this on my study abroad, and
That you plan for when deciding on where you travel. So do you always have international services as you're traveling, or do you just pay for it when you go?
that's a great
How do you
question.
work that out?
Wi-Fi is reliably available throughout the world. So I generally turn off my like data and roaming whenever I travel. And whenever I like get back to the hostel or the hotel I'm staying at, I'll always purchase like the Wi-Fi, or a lot of times it's just free. And so I'll log on to that. Particularly in Asia, using the WhatsApp is
Okay.
really, really helpful because you can text, you can call, you can, it's basically everything you can do on like regular phone, but it's contained with an app that works when you're connected to Wi-Fi. So I'm always aware whenever I travel, the place I'm going to sleep needs to have Wi-Fi for that express reason. Throughout the day, um, I'm usually like with the people I'm traveling with, like we don't ever decide to separate. And so as far as like contacting the person I'm with, I mean, it's just like a hey, it's like a turn and say hello kind of thing. It's not like a hey, I'm gonna go here for an hour. I need you to call me if something happens. So that's like the most important thing. I caution with like the travel vlogs though, because lots of times it's like following people who have like gone to a foreign country and they're like, oh yeah, do this, do that. No, absolutely not. I do not do secondary resources with that. I go to I find the vlogs of people who live in those countries, and they have like an episode or two about like their culture, and those are the people I trust. I do not endorse
Good
any of the
to know.
so because there are tons of like travel vlogs, and I love when people want to travel, and I love when they want to respect the culture and stuff, but I'm very much like a primary source kind of gal when it comes to how to act. I'm not a secondary source kind of gal.